Hey crafts and curls, if you want to learn how to crochet, or if you need a refresher on how to do some basic crochet stitches, this series may be for you. I want to share with you some basic crochet stitches just to help get you started or just to keep you going. So I want to go over a couple of yarn skeins just to give you an idea of what you should be looking for if you're new to crochet, and to give you some reminders as well. So keep watching. First, I want to show you a typical yarn skein. This is a very familiar yarn bundle called Red Heart. And with any crochet skein that you purchase, there's going to be a legend here that gives you more information on what type of yarn it is, what tools that you'll use depending upon if you're crocheting or if you are knitting, and also laundering instructions. The Red Heart yarn is also very handy, and it shows you which side to look for the continuous feed of your yarn. So once you first start to use your yarn, you need to know which end to pull your yarn out of, because there's one end that is a continuous feed and there's another end that's kind of wrapped around underneath the tag here. So not every skein shows you this, but it's awesome that Red Heart does show you this. So what this says here is that if you look at the heart faced up, which is this direction, if you have it in this direction, going towards the left-hand side, if you see a tail, that is the tail coming from underneath the tag. And so if you look over here at number 2, you still see that tail coming from underneath the tag. That is not the end that you want to start your project with, but you want to start your project with the tail that's coming from inside of the skein, from inside the yarn bundle. So make sure that you look for the yarn coming from the right side of your yarn skein when you're using Red Heart, because this is telling you this is the end that's going to be a continuous pull, a continuous flow for your project. And also it's telling you that if you're using this particular yarn, due to its thickness, which is a medium weight, if you're crocheting, you want to use a US hook with the I letter or the number 9. Some hooks have letters, some hooks have numbers, some hooks have both. But this is the legend, the key that you will look towards to know what type of hook to use. And right here, I have a crochet hook that is an I9. Let's see if it will focus for you. Oh, I think it's focused down here. You can see it says I, and it also says 5mm, which is the 5mm that's listed at the top here as well. And so here we have another skein of yarn. And if you roll around on this one, it also tells you the weight of the yarn. This one is a 6, which is super bulky as it says here. And it tells you the size of the knitting needles that you would need and the size of the crochet hook that you would need, along with the laundering instructions. So this is a crochet hook P16, which is 11.5mm, and that's what this hook right here is, P, which is a lot larger, to hold this super chunky yarn here. I want to start a project with this yarn just to give you a better idea of how your project will look. The thicker the yarn, the easier it is to see your stitches. So we're going to start with some basic stitches for crochet. So the first thing that you want to do when you are crocheting is you want to make a slip knot to get your project started onto your needle. So there's a couple ways to make the slip knot. This is how I make the slip knot. Take the yarn and wrap it over your finger and towards the back, and then take a little space right here, insert the needle under there, hook it, and pull it through. And then you can pull this tight, and that way you have your slip knot underneath your crochet hook. So you have a short end and you have a long end. Of course, the short end is something that we will weave in later, and this long end is what we're going to use to grow our project. So after you've created the slip knot, then you want to create a chain to start your projects. All projects are with crochet, or most projects with crochet, start with a chain base. And depending upon if it's a small project or a bigger project will determine how many chains you start with. We're just going to do 10 chains in this sample project. When I'm starting my chain, I usually hold my project a little bit differently than after I've already started the project. So I want to show you how to create a chain. So you want to hold your product with your thumb and your ring finger, and have your yarn in between your index finger and your middle finger. And so to start the chain, you want to first do a yarn over, and then you can rotate your hook down so that you can pull it through this loop. And you have your first chain. So yarn over, rotate your hook down, and pull it through the loop. Yarn over, rotate your hook down, and pull it through the loop. And you will have to continue to adjust your tension as you're going, but in this very first chain, you don't want to have a tight chain. You want to keep it kind of as loose as possible so that you can get back into those chains later. So right now we have 3 chains on this hook. This very first one, the second one, and this last one, this middle one, and this was the very first one. And you can see what they look like because they're in like the shape of a V. And so this is 3, and we're going to do a total of 10. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, and you see my fingers keep going and holding the chain that's directly under the needle just so that I can get control over the tension. And I just lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 2 more. 9, 10. So here's our chain, which kind of looks like a hair braid, like you're braiding your hair. So the chain row is going to look one way, but once you start doing single crochets and double crochets and half double crochets, then your work will start to grow. And our work is starting down here, and it's going to grow this way. And when you're doing crochet, you are working your rows back and forth. So basically what you're doing is you're going to work this way, and then you're going to come back and work this way, and then you're going to come back and work this way. And so it's a zigzag. You're going to work back and forth. You're going to continue to turn your work back and forth and work it, and it's going to grow as you continue to add stitches. So the next stitch that I want to show you is a single crochet. So we have 10 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, we don't have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we need one more. So the next stitch that I want to show you is a single crochet. And I want my project to have 10 stitches. And since I want my project to have 10 stitches, I have to have one extra chain so that I can easily turn the corner when I'm going to the next row. So right now we have 10 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I'm going to add one more just so that I can turn the corner. So yarn over, rotate the hook through the loop. So we've worked this way, now we're going to work back this way. So when you do your single crochet, you want to go inside the very first crochet. This crochet right under the hook was just to turn the corner. So this crochet right here is the one that we're going to go into. So you're going to take your needle and you're going to go inside that chain. You're going to yarn over and then pull it through once. And then you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again and you're going to pull it through both. So let's do that again. Into the chain, yarn over, rotate the hook down to pull it through the loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then pull through both of those loops. So into that chain, yarn over, rotate the hook down to pull it through. Then you have 2 loops on that hook, yarn over, rotate the hook down and pull through both of those loops. And we're going to keep doing that until we get to the end. And make sure that your work is not too tight, that you have enough slack so that you can easily get your hook through all of your stitches. And you can adjust it, adjust the yarn tension as you go, adjust the product as you go to kind of stretch it back out and make sure that you have the right count of stitches as you're going so that you don't miss any stitches. This will be our last stitch. Sometimes it's hard to see your last stitch, so you want to make sure that you don't miss that last stitch. This is the knot, the slip knot that we created, and this is the first chain. So we're going to do that first chain, which is actually the last one on this line. So this is the end of our project, or the end of this row, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chains on here. But see, that last one, it's kind of hard to see, right? So you want to definitely not forget this last one. And one of the things that you can use is actually a stitch marker so that you can know for sure that you don't forget that last stitch, that you can see it easily. So since we're doing single crochet and we are getting ready to turn and go in the other direction, we want to create an easy way to turn the corner. So we're going to do an extra chain. And then we're going to turn our project around and we're going to go back into these single crochets again. So now our project looks a little bit different. So we're going to go into this first single crochet, but when you go into it, if you look at the top, there's 2 loops on the top of your work, and that's the top of the single crochet. So we're going in, we're going to yarn over, rotate that chain down and pull through, and we have 2 hoops on that hook, just like before. Yarn over, rotate the hook down and pull back through. So it's the same actions that we did before, it just looks a little bit differently because now we're working back into single crochets, whereas the first row we were working into chains, just the chain loop. Okay, so this is the next single crochet. We're going to go into this single crochet hole. We're going to yarn over, rotate the hook down so that you can pull it through and pull up that loop. And we have 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over again, rotate the hook down so that you can pull it through. And we're going to go into the next one. Yarn over, rotate the hook down so that you can pull it through. And we have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull it through both loops. And we're going to continue doing that all the way for each of those 10 stitches. So now I need to pull out more yarn so that I don't have, so that I don't have tension in my project. Okay, so we're going to go into this next one. Yarn over, pull through. This next one, yarn over, pull through. And see how this is very hard to see, and I'm actually glad I put the stitch marker in there so I know exactly what I'm picking up. Pull through. And then we can just take that out. And so this is our project with single crochet, which is a lot easier to see when you have a chunky yarn. So now I want to show you how to do a double crochet. And a double crochet is a taller stitch. A single crochet is 1 and a double crochet is 2 stacked on top of each other. So whereas before we chained 1 to easily turn the corner, now we're going to chain 2 because the stitch is taller. We're going to chain 2 and then we're going to turn our work. And so when we do the chain, when you do a double crochet, it's a little bit different, of course, than a single. So we're going to go back into this stitch the same way that we did before. But first, for a double crochet, you want to do a yarn over first. You want to go into the hole, a yarn over again, and pull up that loop so that you have 3 on your hook. So we're going to yarn over, rotate the hook down, and pull through the first 2 so that you have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over again, rotate the hook down, and pull through those last 2. So that's a double crochet, and you see it's taller than the single crochet. So let's do that again. Yarn over, go through this next single crochet, yarn over, rotate the hook down, pull it up once, and you have 3 loops. So yarn over, rotate the hook down and pull through the first 2, yarn over, rotate the hook down and pull through the next 2, and you have this double crochet, this double crochet, and this was just the chain 2 that we used just so that we can get started. So we use the chain 2 because it's taller. It's tall just like the double crochets are. So let's keep going. Yarn over into the chain, yarn over. So we have 3 hoops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then once again, as you're getting to the end of your project, it's kind of hard to see that last stitch, but you don't want to forget it. So it's kind of laying down. So we yarn over, go through that last stitch, make sure you have both of those loops on the top. Yarn over, pull through them once. You have 3 hoops. Yarn over, pull through 2 hoops, yarn over, pull through the last hoops. And so now we have a chain, we have 2 rows of single crochet and 1 row of double crochet. So let's do another row of double crochet. And in doing that, we want to first chain 2 so that we can turn the corner. And then we're going to turn the corner and we're going to do another row of double crochet. Yarn over, and then don't forget that last stitch. And now look at your work. It looks amazing. So now I want to show you how to create a slip stitch. And we're going to do a slip stitch going down the next row. But before we do that, we have to chain 1 so that we can go in the other direction. And so for our slip stitch, if you're creating a slip stitch, it's usually asked for when you're joining something together. It's kind of like a half of a crochet, a half of a single crochet. It's a very small stitch, but I'll show you what it looks like. So you want to go into the chain. You want to yarn over and pull that through, and then you're going to pull that through the second loop as well. So I'll show you what that looks like again. So into the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through again. Into the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through again. In the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through again. Pull out some more yarn here. In the stitch, pull it through again. Yarn over, in the stitch, pull through and pull through again. And here we are at the end, and then we can chain to go in the other direction. And you have just created your first swatch. Awesome! So let's learn how to do a half double crochet. Half double crochets are very common in patterns. So at the end of your row, you want to create an extra chain so that you can turn your work. And so now we can create our half double crochet. And when you're doing that, you want to first start out by doing a yarn over and insert your hook into your first stitch. You're going to do a yarn over, rotate the hook down and pull the loop through, and you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. So then you do a yarn over and you pull through all 3 loops. Easy, right? So yarn over, insert through the stitch, yarn over, rotate your hook down so that you can pull up that 3rd loop on your hook, yarn over, rotate your hook down so that you can pull through all 3 of those loops. And that is your half double crochet. Going to keep doing that to the end of the row here. Yarn over, insert through the stitch, yarn over, pull up additional loop. You have 3, yarn over and pull through all 3. And you'll want to give yourself enough slack on your yarn so that your project won't pull so tightly. And since we're at the end of the row, you want to make sure that you don't forget that last stitch. And that is your half double crochet. So on the next row, I want to show you how to do a treble crochet. And so before we complete that row, we have to chain 3 so that we can have a balance when we create that row of treble crochet. So I'm getting some more yarn. so that my project won't be so tight. Turn it around. And so for the treble crochet, you want to yarn over twice, insert into the stitch, yarn over once and pull through. So you have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Then you have 3. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. Then you have 2. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. See how tall that is? That's a tall stitch. Let's do it again. Yarn over twice, insert into the first stitch, yarn over, rotate your hook down and pull the loop up, and just do some adjusting so that you can see that you have 4 stitches there, 4 loops there, I'm sorry. Yarn over, rotate your hook down and pull through the first 2. Now you have to wiggle it. Yarn over, rotate your hook down and pull through the next 2. Yarn over, rotate your hook down and pull through the last 2. Let's do that again. These are some tall stitches. As you can see how I'm pinching this part of my project and I'm pulling these 2 fingers tight so this part of the thread of the yarn can get snug under that hook, just to help it to go through a little bit easier. You may have to make adjustments for your work as well, just so that you can have an additional slack on your yarn and just to make it easier for you to get through your project without so much tension. Tension in your yarn, meaning so that it's not so tight, and so that your hook can easily slide through. I didn't do that one right. As you see, we have one more hiding on the end here. And that is our treble crochet. And you can really see how tall they are. This is the treble crochet. Very tall.